If you're a nursing student and you're struggling, whether it's with your prereqs or the courses you're taking down, I gotta tell you about a story about me and what I went through on my nursing journey. And I became a nurse regardless of how long it took. So if you are dedicated and you're motivated to become a nurse, it can happen because my story will really motivate you. So, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tadeja Diane. I am a nurse by day, digital marketer by night. But I came on here because I've really been wanting to do more nursing videos, and I had posted something on Threads about my nursing journey, and it got over like 16,000 views. And I was like, wow, maybe people really need this. So now I'm here. So, before I get started, this is my sweater. You can find this at Etsy. These are cozy nursing sweaters. I'm going to put the link up here. This is like so perfect for me because I was struggling being super cold in hospitals. Like it's freezing. Like them scrubs was not keeping me warm enough. So I decided to start wearing warmer sweaters. And this is all I need. Like even if I wear my Adidas sweater, it does not keep me warm. So if you're in clinicals or if you're already a nurse, this sweater is clutch. Again, I'm going to put the link above. Anyway, so let's get to it. I decided to go to nursing school when I was like in my younger ages. Still young, but I was like much younger. I was 19. And I was just like, you know what? I want to ultimately own my own business. Sorry. Had to close the window because it'd be loud. But I ultimately wanted to own my own business. So my thoughts was either PA or nursing. So PA, you could not work without a provider. So that was crossed off the list. So I went to nursing. But before I made that decision, I went to a community college and wanted to do the nursing program. As you know, it was super competitive. So I got discouraged. Like I was completely discouraged. So I went on, got my associates in medical administration. Then I transferred and I got my bachelor's in psychology. Once I got my bachelor's in psychology, I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like I got my first hospital job. I was like 20, wasn't even 21 yet. And I was doing like secretary work. And I was like, okay, I have to figure out a way here of what I'm going to do with my life because medical administration, it's okay for now, but I need a better game plan. So then that's when I came to the decision, okay, PA or nurse practitioner. And then I was like, okay, need to work for myself. So then it has to be nurse practitioner. So now I'm like, okay, now I'm going back to wanting to be a nurse because I needed to do something more. So then I finally started taking prereqs. You know, I was in my bachelor's. I was taking prereqs at community college while I was finishing up my bachelor's at my university. And I just paid for that, you know, with loans and stuff from school that I got back. And I did my prereqs. I did some online like A&P and micro with the lab. And it was hard, but I did it. You have to aim for A's and B's. I'm going to just tell you right now because it just makes it, at least your core courses, aim for A's and B's. Try not to get no C's. And just really put in the work. Study, memorize, and do what you got to do. So I did that, got my prereqs. I applied to a couple colleges. I applied to both associates and accelerated bachelors. So if you don't know, accelerated bachelor's programs, those are for people who got their bachelor's in another degree, another non-nursing degree. So I got my bachelor's in psychology. So I applied to some schools. I did not get in to any of I didn't get into the ones that I applied closer to me at the time, but I got into one close to me back home. So what did I do? Picked up, left, and came back home. So once I came back home, you know, I did the orientation and then I realized I could not afford it. So can you imagine? I picked up my life again and came back home and I cannot afford it. I was like, okay, so what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? I cannot afford this accelerated bachelor's. You could not work. And then, well, you really couldn't work. then you had to take out private loans. I did not get accepted for any private loans I need. I mean, I applied to Sallie Mae, I applied to other private loans like Discover, and I just was not getting approved. So I was like, okay. So now I done left, and I got accepted to other colleges that were associates back in Albany where I was. And I'm like, okay, so I already missed that. I'm not going to move back to Albany. I'm just going to stay home. So got a full-time job. Then I started to applying to other associate degree programs around where I live. And that was like a couple years later. By this time, I'm like 20, 24, 25 at this time. So you're talking about years in difference. You're talking about from 19 to like 25. So I'm still pursuing. I'm like, okay, I need a backup plan. We're gonna pivot. So I'm just like trying to figure it out. I'm like, okay, I can't afford an accelerated bachelor's at this time, any of those programs. So what I'm gonna do is do associates. So I applied, I got into one. But before I fully got into one, I had to take an entrance exam. So you have a Kaplan, some do Kaplan and some do T's. So when I was up back in Albany, I did do T's exam, and I did fairly well for the T's. But then here, it was Kaplan. So then I took the Kaplan and I failed by like 3 points. And then with Kaplan, you have to wait 6 months. With the T's, it was only like 30 days. So I waited the 6 months, and I was like devastated. I'm like, okay, that puts me back even further. And you know, at that age, you're so pressed for time. You're so worried about other people's time limit. And you're like, oh my God, I'm already behind. I'm in my 20s. Like, I should be having my career already. And that was the pressure I was feeling. But then I pushed it in the back of my head, and I kept going. So 6 months later, I took the test again, and I passed by only 1 point. Within 6 months, I only got 1 point higher. And I was studying, or was I? But so anyway, so I passed by 1 point, and then I got in. And I was like, okay, it's game mode. So I was working full time, living on my own, and got in. I had changed jobs right during that time because I wanted tuition reimbursement. So I changed jobs to a job that gives me tuition reimbursement. So that's what I did. So I started, we started with our foundations class. That went pretty well. Then I went on to med surge. That's when things started to get harder. So the second semester is when everything started to get really hard, because honestly, the professors in my program, they weren't the nicest. Not all of them. Some were good, but some were like, oh my God, they were like vicious, and they would try to scare you. I'm just going to be honest. That's how it was. And my nerves be bad and the anxiety. So I was really going through it in nursing school. I was taking passion flower. If you don't know, passion flower is like this natural calming drops that you take to help with your anxiety, because that's how bad it was during nursing school. And I was just like working full time. So I was like a freaking robot. I would go to work like 8 to 4, leave straight from there, go to school, because I did school in the evenings. So they had evenings. This is why I picked that school, because I was like, okay, I can work full time and still go to school. So I did that 4 days a week. We didn't have nothing on Friday, but I did that 4 days a week. Clinicals and lecture was in between Monday and Thursday. And I did that for 2 whole years. So I did that. Of course, I struggled. My last semester was the worst. My last semester was peds and maternity. I took those 2 together. So I was failing. If you don't know, in nursing school, besides your dosage, you need a 90 to pass. But when it comes to your other, you need an 83, specifically for my school. You needed an 83 or higher to pass. I was sitting below an 80 the whole semester of my last semester. If you fail 2 classes, you're out of the whole program. So I was freaking out because I was failing that whole semester. Like, I was like, I need a miracle. Like, really failing that whole semester. Like, I probably was like at a 78. And I was like, oh my God, I need to pass. By the grace of God, I passed. Thank God I had a really supportive friend in nursing school. You need one of those, because they will push you and help you. I had a really supportive friend, and she was really looking out for me, and I will never forget that. But, I was talking to my professors, doing what I had to do, and let's just say I passed. I could not freaking believe it. I was like literally losing it. And that's when COVID really hit. This was like in 2020. That's when COVID really hit. So it was just, oh my God, it was a mess. And, thank God I didn't get COVID during that time. I got it like a year after. But it was just, I did get sick, and I was going through it, and I got sick like a couple days before my finals. So I was freaking out, and I'm pretty sure maybe I did have COVID, even though it tested negative. I was really feeling like shit. And I took the exam, and like I said, by the grace of God, I passed both classes, and that was like that. So I was like, okay, boom, now we ready. So then a couple weeks later, you get your number, you get your registration, and now you register for the NCLEX. So the NCLEX comes around. I think I took it like a month after, or 2 months. We finished in December. I took it in February. So I took it in February, and I failed. I got to question like 145, I think, and then the test shut off. And I did not feel great about going into it because I used UWorld, and I just didn't practice enough. Let's be honest. Like I kept hearing all these stories about certain people like only taking like 2 weeks and then taking a test and passing. I'm like, okay, so maybe I don't really need, let me do a couple questions, call it a day, take this damn test. First of all, the test where I went was all the way in another state. So I had to drive there. So that was number one. It was too far. Then I just was like, I was anxious. I didn't take a break during the test. It was just not good. So then I did the Pearson trick, where you try to register. And if you register, if it lets you put in your card number, that means you failed. So that was the trick you can do. Or you could wait 3 days. But I did the trick, and actually took the test. This was another one. I took the test, and I think I went to work later that day. So that was not good. I took the test and went to work later that day. So I was freaking out. I couldn't even concentrate that day. And on my break, I did the trick, and I was just like, I know I failed. Then 3 days later, you're able to, get your score, get your fast results. And sure enough, I failed. I was so devastated. I was just like, are you kidding me right now? So now it's like, I done did all of this, and now I failed. And then you start looking at other YouTube videos, and you see people like, oh my God, like I took the test 5-6 times. You hear all these stories, and it's like after your first time, it kind of goes lower of your chance of passing. Now I'm really freaking out. So I'm like, okay, let me get out of this loophole. So I pulled myself back together. And what I did was I found this program called Archer, which was way cheaper. And I was like, okay, had a whole crash course. They have a YouTube. You should check them out. They have a couple lives that they do. And they also had like a master class that they did. And they had a whole test bank. I bought that. And then, I did their crash course. I did a lot of their questions. So what I did was set myself up like, okay, I'm going to do 100 questions a day. So I would do 50 in one sitting, take a break, do another 50, and take a break. So I would do that. I did that for like a month and a half maybe. And then I did that, and then I took the test basically a predictor to see how well you're going to do if you have a high chance. So I think I took I took one. I took one once like a week before my test date. I took it, and then it said I had a high chance. So I was like, okay, cool. I feel like I'm good. I'm ready. I studied. Oh, I used another thing that they don't have, and I think this will be so useful. It was on the NCLEX website. They had like this 12-week course where it went over everything. When I mean this shit was so good, like it went over everything. I used that. They don't have it no more. I can't even believe that they don't have it because it was really good. So I used that along with the Archer. So I did that to brush up on some stuff. They had some questions too. It was really good. So after I did that, it was testing day. I registered and I was actually able to find another testing site that was way closer to me. That morning I felt great. I was like, okay, I took some time. I ate. I even took a break. I even made sure I took a break. Once that on the screen it said I can take a break, I took that break. I walked out, breathed in some fresh air, took my mind off of things, and I was just like, okay, just breathe. I took a couple minutes. I went back in. I was taking the test. And some of the questions, I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to go with my first mind. And some of it I was not sure of, but I just used my same testing tactics that I used when I was doing Archer. And that's how I left it. Anyway, long story short, it cut off at 75 questions. And I was like, okay, either I did really well or I did really bad. Pretty much, because at 75, if you could predict how well I'm going to do on the rest of the test, then I either did really good or I did really bad. But I already had this feeling that I did good. So I was like, okay, I'm good. So I did the trick. And I knew I passed. It would not let me register. I was like, I would never forget that it was April 9th. I would never forget this. And RIP to DMX, it was the day that he died. Not that good. But for me, it was good, Yeah, I took the test and I was like, okay, I did the trick. I was like, okay, I have a feeling I passed. And then, I still paid for it, even though I had a feeling. I had to make sure that that was credible. So Sunday is usually Sundays, because I took it on a Friday. So I think Sunday, I paid for the fast results and I freaking passed. I could not believe it. Like, you do not understand. So we're talking about from 2012 to 2021. Yes, that's how long it took for me to decide and then not decide that I was going to be a nurse. But from there to 2021, I took all those steps, and all of those step backs, I still kept going. All those setbacks, I still kept going. And it was really a lot. I'm not going to lie. It was stressful, especially when thank God I do have a support system. But when you're by yourself and you're living alone and you got to work full time, and I didn't even have kids. A lot of people in my nursing program had kids. So can you imagine? Like, it was even harder. But yeah, I did it. And it's now 3 years. 2024. I've been a nurse for 3 years. So this just goes to show you, do not let things stop you. Like, you may feel like you are hitting a wall and you're trying to do everything to become a nurse. You can do it. I'm telling you, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Like, I made sure, I'm like, listen, I was really hard on myself too. When I look back at things, I'm like, you had a lot going on and you still was doing, like, becoming a nurse in the midst of COVID. Come on. Even going to school in the midst of COVID, trying to become a nurse. Like, who wants to really do that? Like, people are dying, nurses are dying. It was just crazy. And it's still like, God gave me the strength to keep going. It was just crazy. So this is your sign. If you are struggling with becoming a nurse, then keep going. Keep going. No matter what life throws at you, I need you to keep going. And I'm talking to you. Keep going no matter what anybody says, no matter what doubts you have in your mind. Keep going. It's going to be worth it. I know them professors are probably a-holes and they're probably trying to scare you, because I don't know why that's in the culture. It shouldn't be, but it is. Brush that off and keep going. I have to say, it was this professor, and I wish she could see me today. Clinical adjunct, as you would call her. She made me terrified of doing finger sticks. Something is so simple as finger sticks, she made me terrified. Like, I would pluck right here. She even said something in front of a patient while I was in clinicals, where I was terrified to do finger sticks. And having her right there watching me was just worse. Like, I really couldn't get finger sticks because I was so nervous because of what she was doing and how she was being. Like, it was just, but anyway, it made me a better nurse today. And finger sticks are like the easiest things now for me. And I'm just like, remember that time? But it'd be that one, either professor, clinical adjunct, or one person that really tries to stop you from doing what you're meant to do. Don't let that happen. That's all I'm saying. Don't let that happen. Things are going to be hard. You may fuck up, and that's okay. You're a human being. Yeah, I wanted to get that off my chest because that was very annoying. Something so easy was just so hard for no reason, because unfortunately the support sometimes is not there in nursing. So fast forward, I'm going to tell you, I've been a psych nurse. So I've been a psych nurse for 3 years, and I did a couple other things in between, but psych nurse most of my time. And it has been very interesting. That will be another story if you want to know about that. But I am now going on to be a psych NP. It's my 4th semester. I'll be done, in 2 more years because I'm doing it part-time and it's online. It just goes to show you that from the time I was 19, 20, I said I wanted to be an NP. And it may have took me years. We're going to say if I started 2000, let's say, so I thought I wanted to be an NP in 2014. So that's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's 10 years. It was around 2014, 15, somewhere around there. So it's been like 9 to 10 years that I made that decision, and I stuck through it. So it took me that one plan that I had at like 20 years old. It took me 9 to 10 years, and it's still going, but I'm still pursuing it. That's the thing. Like that plan I wanted things to hurry up so quickly. Like, no, you cannot rush the process because you're getting it done. It may not be in 2 years, 3 years. Everything takes time. And my plan didn't go accordingly. Like it was supposed to be accelerated bachelor's program. I'd be done in 12 months to 18 months. And I could have finished it quicker. No, I had to go back. I had to do 2 years. Then I had to do RN to BSN. So it took more years. So now we're here 9 years later and I'm in NP school. So that's all that matters. Like that plan, don't rush your time, because just do what you want to do. Do what you want to do and just put your mind to it, and don't let anybody drift you off your path. Like it may take long. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have roadblocks, but keep on doing what you have to do. Pray about it and act on it. That's it. And you will be in good hands. But yeah, that is my journey. And I hope you hearing what I said and what I went through inspires you. I really do. And I want you to, if it's anybody that's watching this that, hasn't started or just started and is having doubts and going through a couple things, once you get through this, because you're going to get through this, I want you to comment under this video, and I want you to comment, I'm a nurse. You could say more, you could say less, but just comment under and just say, I'm a nurse. Like hearing your story help, because I want to hear that, that will make me feel good that I can keep on telling you my story, because I really wanted to motivate you, because I was in your exact shoes. So please don't forget to comment and tell me what are your thoughts and how you feel and what you are going through, because we're all human at the end of the day. And nursing is not easy. It's not. It's really not. Because, I'm 3 years in, and honestly, it can be tiring dealing with poor management. Yes, poor management. Very poor management. And sometimes you'll have bad coworkers too. So that will take a toll on you. So that's another thing you get ready for. But it's a very rewarding career, and I don't have any regrets about it. Even though you see my digital marketing and I say burnt out nurse, I will forever be a nurse. And that is my purpose. Digital marketing is just to make the money. But nursing is my purpose, and that's just that. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. If you want to hear more, if you want me to go into details about anything else, comment below. I hope to see you guys soon. Again, you got this. Don't let anyone tell you any motherfucking different. Period. All right. See you.